Breaking news. By 2022, trade between Russia and Africa will have hit nearly $18 billion. Putin. Russian President Vladimir Putin said on Monday that trade between Russia and African countries increased in 2022, reaching nearly $18 billion, and that this was not the limit of the bilateral potential for economic partnership. It gives me great pleasure to report that in 2022, the value of Russia's trade with African countries increased, reaching nearly $18 billion. Putin said in a Kremlin article titled, Russia and Africa, Joining Efforts for Peace, Progress, and a Successful Future, that, we are all well aware that the potential of our trade and economic partnership is much higher. Russian President Vladimir Putin has expressed interest in expanding Russian business in Africa across a wide range of sectors, including nuclear power, chemical production, mining, transportation engineering, agriculture, and fisheries. The Russian president said that, due to globalization, safe and free from unfavorable external impacts mechanisms of mutual settlements are needed. In spite of Western sanctions, which severely hamper the supply of Russian food products to developing countries, Putin noted that Russia exported 11.5 million tons of grain to Africa in 2022 and almost 10 million tons in the first 6 months of 2023. Moscow recognizes the importance of uninterrupted food supplies for the socio-economic development and political stability of the African states, Putin said, adding that Russia has always given great attention to issues related to the supply of wheat, barley, maize, and other crops to African countries. Moscow, he said, had provided the food, both on a contractual basis and free of charge as humanitarian aid, including through the United Nations Food Programme. There are 35,000 Africans in Russian universities, with 6,000 receiving financial aid. Putin. He then went on to say that there are currently around 35,000 African students studying in Russia, with over 6,000 of them receiving government-sponsored scholarships. Russia has over 35,000 African students, with over 6,000 receiving government scholarships, according to President Vladimir Putin. President Putin made these remarks while promising closer ties with African countries in a variety of areas and a free supply of grains to the continent to combat food insecurity. Putin made this clear in a statement titled, Russia and Africa, Joining Efforts for Peace, Progress, and a Successful Future, on Monday, just days before the second Russia-Africa Summit and Russia-Africa Economic and Humanitarian Forum. The summits, set for July 27 and July 28 in St. Petersburg, Russia, aim to strengthen ties between Russia and Africa by outlining key areas of cooperation for the 21st century. Putin stated that Russia has always stood in solidarity with Africans in their fight for self-determination, justice, and their legitimate rights, adhering to the African Solutions to African Problems principle. In addition, he reaffirmed Russia's commitment to continuing its tradition of aiding African states in developing their human resource capacities. He then went on to say that there are currently around 35,000 African students studying in Russia, with over 6,000 of them receiving government-sponsored scholarships. Recent years have seen a surge in the number of scholarship opportunities in Russia, as well as the promotion of paid higher education options and the facilitation of ties between universities, as noted by the country's president.